Hello, my name is Brian Freestead. I am the leader of the senior design team working on CySat-I. If you're watching this video, it's probably because you are the subsystem lead or prospective subsystem lead of the onboard computer for CySat-I. If you're watching for another reason, that's fine. But this is the introduction to the onboard computer video. So I'm going to go through a few things. First, file structure of the Git repository, and specifically things that are associated with the onboard computer. Then I want to go over the development environment and how to get that set up, and also sort of walk through that. And then I want to talk about some of the most important C files in the project in regards to the onboard computer. And then I want to talk about how to take your next steps. We specifically have a document called Next Steps document, and then there are also some manuals which you should definitely check out. Finally, I'll go over some contact info for people you can reach out to for assistance. Alright, so the very first thing is going to be the file structure. So here in this CubeSat folder is where everything is housed, and we have the dev folder and the doc folder. Peeking into the doc folder first, we have one folder for each of the subsystems. Here, things that are important related to the onboard computer. We have the OBC folder, we have the mock launch plans, dev environment setup, PC 104 master list. The I2C lesson is mostly if you aren't familiar with the I2C protocol. I'll get into what some of these are specifically in a little bit here, but let's dive into the OBC folder. Inside of here, we have some user manuals associated with the onboard computer, and then some data sheets for the microcontroller on board. A number of these files are associated with the software development kit that Endurset has put together, which we are not really using. We're writing most of our software from scratch, but this file and this file are associated with that. The rest of them are user manuals and microcontroller information. So if we back out of here and go back to the doc folder, the mock launch plans, that basically just talks about what steps are necessary to take on the OBC to complete the first and second phases of the satellite's life, which are described in the concept of operations document that can be found on the CySat SciBox folder. The development environment setup and the Eclipse setup guide are two sort of different looks at setting up the development environment. The dev environment setup is one that I set up, but the Eclipse setup guide was made by a previous team member before I came on the project, and it also has some useful information, but when in doubt, go with the dev environment setup because it's more up to date. The PC 104 master list has contains a list of all of the pins that are used on the PC 104 bus, which is the 104 pin bus that's used to connect all of the modules on the satellite. So here we can see the OBC pins and what pins are populated on this header, or on each of the pins. And then there's a combined pin list here which shows all of the various modules outputs combined. This will be very important. The other big side of the file structure is in this dev folder. Within here we have the OBC folder. We have two projects within here which are both housed inside of System Workbench, which is the development environment that those other PDFs go over how to set up. So we have two projects, one for the discovery board, which is our emulating development board that has a very similar chipset to the actual OBC, and then one project that's associated with the onboard computer. So within the onboard computer here, we can go in onboard computer project, we can go and take a look within System Workbench. So I've got a number of files open up here that aren't really important. So the most important files here, of course, main.c, CySat packet protocol, and the help. There's a little bit in the helper functions, but all of these are going to be important. But ones like the EPS.c and UHF.c, those are associated, and also the ADCS stuff that's associated with other subsystems that you won't necessarily have to be developing for as OBC Lead. So here within the main loop is where we go through and we do all of our initialization of different modules. We go and we're going to turn on various components, and then we'll head into our main while loop here. And here we're going to be checking for messages and then parsing them, and then checking to see if the packet is valid, and if it is, then we're going to handle it. And down here is where the packets are handled. Now these packets are based on the CySat packet protocol, which is described here in the CySat packet protocol.c and .h files. You're going to want to take a look through these and make sure you get a good understanding of the CySat packet protocol. So now that you've gotten introduced to the important C files in the development environment you'll be using, if we go back to this doc folder and then the OBC folder, we can take a look at some of these files, and this is where you're going to want to get started when you're first entering this project. So the OBC Next Steps PDF, that'll be an important place to start. You'll want to read through that. Also want to take a look through this OBC User Manual Revision 1.1. This is from Endurasat, and this is a description of the various hardware components that are on the onboard computer. So once you've read through those initial documents, including the things that are listed in the next steps documents, what I'm about to say is one of them, you're going to want to attempt to perform the mock launch here, which is described step by step within this document. Alright, so that's all the things that I wanted to go through. I'm going to provide some contact information now. So again, my name is Brian Freestead. I'm going to put my NetID on the screen, and otherwise there's contact information in the other folder, and this text document called contact information. That's our personal contact information, because our ISU emails might not be may be deactivated by the time you're getting around to emailing us on them. So if that doesn't work, you can shoot us text messages or emails on our personal contact methods. All right. Good luck on the project, and I hope this satellite flies.